My friend lied to her boyfriend that we were besties, got mad when I told him the truth, then admitted she was just using me for something shocking. I got a message from my friend's boyfriend late one night. He thanked me for always being there for her, for being her rock when things got rough between them. His words were kind, but they hit me hard because they didn't make sense. She and I hadn't been close like that in a long time, and I hadn't been hanging out with her alone like he seemed to think. When I replied to clear things up, I didn't expect the fallout. Her reaction was so intense it made me rethink everything I thought I knew about our friendship. She and I met during freshman orientation at college. The campus was huge, and we were both overwhelmed, so we naturally gravitated toward each other. We had the same class schedule, lived on the same floor in the dorm, and ended up spending a lot of time together. We'd grab meals at the dining hall, study in the library, or walk to classes side by side. It felt like we were close, but looking back, I'm not sure if we were ever truly best friends or if it was just the convenience of proximity. We got along well enough, though. We'd join group hangouts with other people from our dorm, go to campus events like movie nights or club fairs, and sometimes just sit in her room or mine, scrolling through our phones or talking about assignments. She was easy to be around at first, always quick to laugh or share a snack. But there was always something a little off, like she was holding back a part of herself. I didn't think much of it then. I just assumed we'd grow closer over time. We never had deep heart-to-hearts, but we were in each other's orbit constantly, and that seemed to be enough. I figured that's what college friendships were like, built on shared routines more than anything profound. Her relationships were a mess from the start. Every guy she dated seemed to crash and burn within months. There was always drama, arguments in the dorm hallway, late-night phone calls I could hear through the walls, or her venting about how they didn't get her. She jumped from one relationship to the next, each one more chaotic than the last. When she started dating Zach, things felt different. He wasn't like the loud, flashy guys she usually went for. He was quiet, serious, and seemed to actually care about her. They met at a campus coffee shop during a study group, and she was smitten right away. But Zach had his own issues. She told me he was insecure, always worrying about where she was or who she was with. It put a strain on them early on. One day, she pulled me aside after class and asked if we could cool it on hanging out so much, at least in public. She said it was just until Zach felt more secure in their relationship. I didn't mind too much. We weren't glued at the hip, and I had other friends and classes to focus on. I figured it was a small thing to do to help her out. So, we stopped grabbing coffee together or walking to events as a pair. Our group hangouts continued, but I made sure to give her space when Zach was around. It seemed like the right thing to do at the time. Zach messaged me out of the blue months later. His tone was warm, almost too grateful. He thanked me for being such a solid friend to her, for always being there when she needed someone, especially during their rough patches. He mentioned how much it meant to her to have me to hang out with alone when she needed a break from their fights. I read the message twice, confused. We hadn't hung out alone in forever, not since she asked me to back off. The last time we'd even been one-on-one was a quick study session in the library, and that was with other people nearby. I didn't know what he was talking about. I replied politely, saying I was glad to be her friend but clarifying that we didn't really hang out alone anymore. I kept it light, not thinking it was a big deal. Zach responded quickly, sounding surprised. He said she'd been talking about me a lot, mentioning how we'd meet up for coffee or late-night chats when she needed space. None of it was true. I didn't know why she'd say those things, but something felt off. I didn't push him further, I just let the conversation drop. My stomach churned, though. Why would she lie about something so specific? And why was Zach under the impression I was some kind of emotional lifeline for her? I couldn't shake the feeling that I was missing a bigger piece of the puzzle. The next morning, she texted me to meet her at the campus coffee shop. When I got there, her face was red, and her eyes were narrowed. She didn't even wait for me to sit down before she started in. She was furious, saying I had no right to talk to Zach about our friendship. She said I'd undermined her and made things harder for her relationship. Her voice was loud enough that people at nearby tables glanced over. I was caught off guard. I didn't understand why she was so upset over a simple clarification. I told her I was just being honest with Zach, that I didn't know why she told him we were hanging out alone when we weren't. She didn't back down. She said I should have kept my mouth shut and that I'd messed up something important. I felt my own frustration rising. I asked her point-blank why she'd lied to him. She froze for a moment, then looked away. Her anger seemed to crack, and she started to cry. That's when she admitted something I never saw coming. She said she'd been using me to manipulate Zach, and it had been going on for months. She explained that Zach had been pulling away from her lately. He'd get distant, stop texting as much, and act cold when they were together. She was desperate to keep him interested. So, she started telling him stories about me, how I was her longtime best friend, how we'd hang out alone for coffee or late-night talks. She said it worked like a charm. Every time Zach seemed to drift, she'd mention me, and he'd get jealous. He'd start texting her more, wanting to know where she was or what we were doing. It pulled him back and emotionally, made him cling to her tighter. She admitted she'd been doing it on purpose, crafting these fake stories to keep him on edge. I was stunned. I asked why she'd drag me into it, why she'd use me like that instead of just talking to Zach or finding someone else to play that role. She said it was because I was already there, part of her life, and she knew I'd never cross any lines with her. I was a safe choice, someone she could use without worrying about complications. She said it was just easier this way, and she didn't think I'd ever find out. My head was spinning. I thought we were friends, maybe not the closest, but friends nonetheless. Now I was realizing I was just a pawn in her game to control her boyfriend. She leaned back in her chair, wiping her eyes, and kept talking as if what she'd done wasn't a big deal. She said I didn't get how hard it was to keep Zach's attention. She described their relationship as a constant battle, where she had to fight to stay relevant to him. She said using me as a way to make him jealous was just a strategy, like playing a game she had to win. She even said I should feel good about it, that I was helping her in a way no one else could. She called me safe, again, emphasizing that she picked me because she knew I never tried to get with her or cause drama. It was supposed to be a compliment, but it felt like a punch. I sat there, staring at my untouched coffee, trying to process it. She acted like lying about our friendship and using me as a prop was normal, like it was something friends just did for each other. I asked her if she ever considered how it would make me feel, being turned into a tool for her relationship. She shrugged and said she didn't think I'd care since it wasn't hurting me directly. She said I was too nice to make a fuss about it, which is why she thought it was fine. Her reasoning made my skin crawl. It wasn't just that she'd lied, it was how she saw me as someone she could manipulate because I was predictable and wouldn't push back. I didn't say much after that. I just got up, left the coffee shop, and walked back to my dorm, feeling like I'd been played for months without even knowing it. I stopped talking to her after that day. I blocked her number and unfollowed her on social media. I didn't want any part of her or Zach or their messed up dynamic. It hit me hard that I'd never been her friend, not really. I was just someone convenient, someone she could use without worrying about consequences. The more I thought about it, the more I saw the signs I'd missed. She'd never asked about my life unless it served her somehow. Our hangouts were always on her terms, at places she wanted to go or with people she wanted to impress. I'd been so caught up in the routine of our friendship that I hadn't noticed how one-sided it was. I told Zach the full truth in a short message, explaining what she'd admitted to me. He didn't respond, and I didn't expect him to. I just wanted him to know what was going on. After that, I avoided places on campus where I knew she'd be. I stuck to my classes, my other friends, and my own routine. It wasn't easy at first. I kept replaying our coffee shop conversation, wondering if I could have handled it differently. But the more distance I got, the clearer it became that cutting her off was the right move. She'd shown me who she was, and I wasn't going to let myself be used again. It's been a few months since I cut her out of my life, and I still see her around campus sometimes. We don't speak, or even acknowledge each other. If we pass in the quad or end up in the same dining hall, our eyes slide past like we're strangers. It's weird to think we used to spend hours together, sharing snacks and complaining about professors. Now, she's just a face in the crowd. I heard through mutual friends that she and Zach broke up not long after our confrontation. Apparently, he didn't take kindly to her lies, and they had a big fight that ended things for good. I don't know the details, and I don't care to. I've moved on, focusing on my classes and the friends who actually value me. But I can't lie, sometimes I still think about what happened. Not because I miss her, but because it taught me how easily someone can use you when you think they care. I'm more cautious now, slower to trust people who seem overly eager to pull me into their orbit. I've learned that real friendships aren't built on convenience or manipulation, they take effort and honesty, things she never offered. I'm okay with keeping my circle small if it means avoiding people like her. That whole mess was a wake-up call, and I'm not going back to being anyone's pawn.